here with Fred Carnes, who is a candidate for planning board. Glutton for punishment, Fred?
I enjoy the community service. I've been on the fire department my whole life just about, and was on conservation for a couple of terms, and when I saw that there was nobody running, I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring.
Now, you grew up here in town?
Yep, on Ashland
Went
Street.
to school right here in town?
Right through school here.
How has the town changed since you and I grew up?
I don't know, I like to think mostly population. I mean, think about it. It's kind of the same town in a lot of ways. I think that's what makes planning board so important and so attractive to me. To perpetuate that.
They're talking about putting another low-income housing up behind town hall. Are you for or against it?
I'd have to see more to know. I mean, you've already got some there, so I suppose if there was a need for it, it would probably be okay.
We have to come up to 10%, right?
Well, you don't have to. I mean, there's no penalty for not having the 10%. What that allows you is to say no to 40Bs.
Right.
And really nobody's there. So, and in fact that project was a 40B.
Right. There's a couple articles on town meeting warrant, there's still 2 articles on there asking that 855 and 859 Washington be rezoned from residential to village commercial. Planning board gave their nod to that. Should the village commercial district downtown, whether it be west or east or even down Central Street, be extended? Do we have enough commercial space in town? I see on Facebook all the time people are saying, well, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see that, we don't have this, we don't have that. Obviously we were discussing before, we don't have a McDonald's, which is probably a good thing, but for small shopkeepers I'm talking.
Well, they rezoned that piece on the corner of Hoppingbrook where the Pope's house
Right.
is. And when I was on the Conservation Commission, we shepherded that project through. And that's, I think, had been approved for a 20-seat restaurant with drive-up. That's not the area that you're really talking about, but
Right.
You could do the same thing across the street potentially with Lovewell's property. That's residential. I mean, there's places where you can do this stuff without impacting the historic district or the part that we remember as kids as always being the same.
Do we have enough open space in town?
I think that we probably do, but every so often something comes up that's attractive enough. Remember, every time you take something for open space, it's off the tax rolls.
Right.
So you're kind of in a catch-22. I'd like to see the tax burden shift somehow off of the residential stuff and somehow be subsidized more heavily by whether it's commercial or industrial.
There is an article on town meeting warrant, I believe, to purchase the other portion of Warren Woods. The town of Ashland, it's right on the Ashland-Holliston line.
Yep.
It's the part that they actually made a road around in a horseshoe type thing. Before that, or
It's actually behind that, and it goes into Meadowbrook Lane.
right.
And when I was on conservation, Anne Marie Pilch had mentioned that to us, and we at that time decided not to pursue it. I think that the part that you're talking about, that little horseshoe, is being privately purchased to be developed. At least that was my understanding.
I think it's going to be an article on.
But that's for that 29 acres, whatever it is. There's
Right.
a piece in behind that.
Right.
I don't know that that has value to people in Holliston. It's just so far out. For my opinion, anything contiguous to our town forest or open space that we have now, I think might have merit to grab. But that just, in my opinion, is just too far out. And it wasn't a lot of money. but it was,
I think they're asking taxpayers $100,000, whether it come from community preservation. The rest will be grants.
I thought it was only 280,000 or something. I can't remember now. It was a while ago,
Right.
but I just don't see the value.
Okay. Back to the downtown village commercial again. There was talk about putting tables and chairs down around Pajama Joe's, and I believe the planning board weighed in on that. Any thoughts on that to make downtown more friendly, more pedestrian, more visitor friendly?
I don't know what their thinking was. I kind of like the idea. Anybody that knows me knows that I spend a little bit of time in the Holliston Grill.
A little bit?
I spend an inordinate amount of time in the Holliston Grill. And that sidewalk there's got to be 10 feet wide. Why
Right.
couldn't you put a couple of tables out there? Maybe there's a reason. I don't know what it would be. You know, on Central Street, that sidewalk is too narrow. But the front of Pajama Joe's or the front of Holliston Grill, I don't see why not.
Anything else you'd like to tell the voters out here?
No, I think that my thought is that you can have thoughtful growth that's long-term sustainable, and that we have space. You know, we have 3 or 4 pad sites right now that would be ready to go for commercial or industrial use here in town. And I'd like to see all the existing parks maximized out. And obviously, when somebody comes in with a proposal, you listen to it. You know, you don't want to say no to something, and you don't want to bring too much of your own stuff into things. You know, your own opinions. And sometimes in conservation, that seems to be a problem for some people. But you know, you never know that when the best proposal, the next proposal is going to be a good one.
Let's just touch upon, before we leave, traffic. There's been controversy about the lights downtown. I think they're doing a study now, or gonna ask for money to do a study at the town meeting. We're not making any more roads in town, so most people more or less have to come through 16126. Should the casino come in up the road, we'd probably have a problem. Your thoughts on lights at Hollis and Washington, or Central and Washington? I mean, you've lived here, you crossed that street.
I think that we could probably do a little bit more with more aggressive traffic enforcement by the police department. When we were kids, there was you're older than I am, but when I was young, they had a police officer there in the afternoon directing traffic at that corner. They had a detail officer letting the school buses come out from Hollis, and then they had somebody on Central directing traffic, you know, an hour and a half, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And obviously the traffic was lighter then, but I went to one of the selectmen's meetings, and we were talking about this, and part of it is you got to educate people to be careful when they, you know, people drive too fast through town, but you got to be careful when you cross the street.
And you have to be careful while you're driving too.
Absolutely, but I don't think that diagonal parking, one of the studies comes up, they were talking about, one of the things was diagonal parking backing in. And if you think we have problems now.
Right.
So I don't know that that's the, I just think that, you know, you've got only so much space in the roads and so much traffic, and you just have to try to make the best of it. I know it takes me, I live on Wedgwood, which is across the street from the post office. And if I leave my house between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, it might take 15 to 20 minutes to get downtown. And that's without it, with just the light at Highland Street.
Well, if you're lucky, you being in Wedgwood there next to the rail trail, you might be able to get on a bike and make it faster down there as soon as they do that up, right? Of course, I was going to ride to work too, so.
Right. Before they did that, I used to drive my pickup down the rail. So,
at least you're honest.
Right. But, well, there was a proposal at one time to make that into a parallel road. I don't know if you remember that, but
No.
it was a discussion. And way before this was probably 25 years ago.
Well, probably would have got right up to the airport there at
Right.
Weston Pond, right?
But I don't know what the answer is there. And as a town, you only get so many choices of how you can, it's a state road.
Right.
So there's only so much you can do.
Right.
You know,
So
you're gonna,
they're cutting the trees down there for a little
Yeah.
visibility
Yep.
now, so.
I mean, that's gonna help. I think, I'd like to see some of the sidewalks maintained better. The ones across there by Washington Path are usually covered with poison ivy.
Right.
But, that's, you know, that's just, you have so many resources and so much time. So,
All right. Thanks for
Thanks,
being with
Bob.
us and good luck.
no, appreciate it.